Ah, yes, the most wonderful time of the year looms again. A time when images of happy people stuffing their faces after opening perfectly picked presents pop up on every streaming platform. We take mental health seriously all year round, but especially in the months to come, which is why we continue to talk about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. During any season, BetterHelp provides an easy-to-use platform to connect with a caring therapist who can meet you right where you are. Text, video, phone. Their licensed and experienced professional therapists are available to help you manage the onslaught of turkey talk and fa-la-las. No matter what you have on your mind, there is someone to talk to today about your life. Use our discount code in the link to get 10% off your first month. Try BetterHelp today by going to betterhelp.com/cinemasins. That's betterhelp.com/cinemasins. Movie starts with a nifty shot through a window that's through a mirror, but forgets that through the looking glass is an Alice thing, not an Oz thing. I get having all these properties can get confusing, Disney. That's why we're here to help. Your house being mid-construction does not justify precariously perching these chairs in a child's room.
Can't you sleep?
Yeah, totally able to sleep. I just prefer laying here with my eyes wide open, Auntie Anne. Gosh. Within 2 minutes of the movie, a caretaker is considering electroshock therapy for a child because they have a bit of insomnia. Nothing hits quite like 80s Disney. Also, true odor.
It's been 6 months since the tornado, and Dorothy hasn't been herself since.
Right? It's almost like she Benji buttoned herself from 16 years old to 10 in just half a year. Maybe by the third movie, she'll be down to her actual book age of 7.
I'm taking her to Cottonwood Falls tomorrow and see if she can be helped.
Maybe that means the same thing as Lower Falls, town of Brockway. Why do locals always got to come up with super secret names for everything?
Where's your egg, Melina?
Pressuring a chicken to procreate for the sake of your own selfish needs. She'll have eggs when she decides she wants them, Dorothy.
No, look, Aunt Tam, it's proof. O-Z. Oz.
Misapplication of the scientific method to determine proof. Even if that key was intended to be an O and a Z, and that's a big if, that doesn't prove Oz's existence. Jeez, Dorothy. Take a logic class or something.
'Cause it's just my imagination.
Running away with me. A movie about imagination can't think of anything else to do with this section of the movie besides horse carriaging on for all the sometime. I haven't seen enough cows or lawnmowers to explain this short grass situation. What is the deal with this flag? Does it have a deal? Is it a curtain for this dude's picture? Is it a hat? F***ing hell. That's gonna bother me for at least another 30 seconds.
I've never been past Franklin before.
Liar, you went to Oz via tornado 6 months ago. Think before you speak, child.
He had a tin leg made, but then a witch enchanted his axe, and he kept on cutting off all the other parts of his body until it was all made of tin.
Scene does not contain Blumhouse optioning a Tin Man horror movie.
Dorothy, where are those slippers now?
I lost them.
Those thieving bastards at the Smithsonian National Museum of American History.
This electrical marvel will make it possible for you to sleep again.
Using sleep and electrical marvel with any level of seriousness in the same sentence.
In just 2 months, it will be the year 1900.
Taking your daughter to a sanatorium around Halloween and expecting things to go well.
You won't need that.
Waiting until now to take away the lunch that you, for some reason, don't want her to have so that you can place it on a random gurney with no instruction about what to do with it.
This is for you.
Thinking a jack-o'-lantern is ever an appropriate gift. Here, have this gourd I stabbed with a knife a few times. You can leave it on your porch until it becomes orange goo and you have no idea how to dispose of it. It'll be great. I've seen dusty furniture before, but holy shit.
I'm gonna talk about a place that I've been to, but nobody believes it exists.
People who insist they're from Delaware. From this angle, the light seems to be casting the pumpkin shadow in one direction, but after we cut, the shadow is completely in the other direction. This place is spooky.
Would you like to go for a ride, Dorothy?
Hey, Nurse Wilson, I've got a few notes. First off, letting the door needlessly swing out of your hand is actually distracting me from how creepy you are instead of accentuating it. Second, pointy shoulders are so last season. They have now strapped this little girl to a gurney and are carting her down a spooky hallway during a thunderstorm, and just a quick reminder, they made this for children.
Testing. On.
Right before the doctor flicks the switch, we see it in the down and on position. And then when it cuts to the close-up, we see it in the up-off position. If you're not careful, someone might get electrocuted. This prep doesn't include any kind of tooth or tongue protection, but maybe that's because they somehow have this machine a full 30 years before the procedure was invented, so they weren't quite up on all the safety standards yet. I'm assuming the millimeter gauge is actually a milliammeter gauge, but I'm not a late 19th century doctor overprescribing electricity, so what do I know?
Now, this fella here has a face.
Dr. Worley doesn't explain what part of the face these glowing bulbs are.
Ready?
Yes, Doctor.
All the electricity fails just before someone is supposed to do something important with electricity for full maximum tension cliche. Having a machine that was somehow patented 7 years in the future.
What's that screaming?
Next time, assume the what is a person and save a step. You don't hear Louisianans chanting what that at Saints games.
So,
Conveniently hiding in Harry Potter's bedroom so you can conveniently pop out to conveniently catch these two trying to escape is convenient. Ozma and Dorothy perform an experiment to, once and for all, find out if there was room for Rose and Jack on that door. But, being stupid kids and all, they chose to use a crate. So, as the conditions of the original experiment have not been properly replicated, I regret to inform you that your research will not be published in the Quarterly Journal of Cinema Sins and Engineering. Movie suggests that a wooden crate with a human inside it would float like this. What is this, some sort of fantasy movie?
When did you learn to talk anyway?
Waiting almost 2 minutes before asking a chicken why they now have the gift of human language.
If this is the land of Oz, then this is the Deadly Desert.
Anyone else feel like she's just making all this shit up? Rock sphincters.
Look, Bellina, it's a lunch pail tree.
What happened to breakfast?
Alina would be excellent at most important meal of the day sins.
A ham sandwich.
That is not fried chicken.
Yeah, but those pigs, am I right? Also, does that tree keep those pails refrigerated? Otherwise, your lunch break may result in a bad case of trichinosis.
Your Majesty, she has returned to Oz.
I don't trust anyone, human, stone, or otherwise, whose tongue moves around like this after every sentence.
She has a chicken with her.
I know, right? Oh, wait. I don't know. But I'm sure the payoff when we finally find out will be worth it. Also blaming the messenger for the message.
That's where we landed on the Wicked Witch of the East.
Pointing out your house's murder corner to someone who didn't ask.
This was the Yellow Brick Road.
It still is! The public works in this town just appear to be terribly underfunded. Sprinting off without your chicken. Hiring a cinematographer whose main goal is apparently to get me to puke all over what used to be the Yellow Brick Road, but will now be known as the Yellow Brick and Bits of Carrot Road.
Well, Bellina, that was the Emerald City.
So was the grand plan of Mombi and the Gnome King to turn the city into a shithole? That was a terrible fucking plan. Oz needs a better caliber of villain.
They've all been turned to stone.
Okay, but this guy was doing yard work in a completely different place 15 seconds ago. I'm just saying, keep an eye on that dude or you might end up in a Weeping Angel type situation.
Oh, Tin Woodsman, what happened to you?
It looks like he was turned to stone, meaning he's more accurately the Stone Tin Woodsman. Of course, if he was turned to stone, then he's no longer actually tin. So maybe go with the Stone Woodsman? But then again, is he actually still a woodsman if he's just frozen here? Maybe you should just go with that guy who starts 2 movies in a row frozen in place since no one could think of a better idea.
Come here, chicken!
These guys wait several minutes for Dorothy to find her stone friends before coming after her, for reasons. Deciding to Michael Myers slow walk during the final few feet of your chase, even though your feet are literally made out of wheels. The convenience!
We'll tear you into little pieces and throw you in the deadly desert.
Not that it's impossible. I would just like to see how they will do that with wheels for hands. Also, what's the point of doing the tearing if you're going to throw them in the deadly desert afterward, you redundant assholes?
What is it?
It looks like a metal man who is frozen in place. You know, for a story about imagination, you sure do seem to be playing the hits. Designing your wind-up robot with stubby legs and a terrible center of gravity.
Does everything but live.
But ain't living everything? Don't matter if you're in Oz or in Kansas, man. Doing is living. And living is doing. That's what I say.
I am TikTok, the Royal Army of Oz.
Inventing TikTok.
I called for help until my voice ran down. Then I paced back and forth until my action ran down. Then I stood and thought until my thought ran down.
Excitement? Movie continues to be overly interested in how things get from point A to point B by spending almost a full minute on this waddling copper kettle.
You run up the stairs, I will take care of them.
Having Dorothy wind up your thinking tight so you could formulate a good plan in advance and then revealing that plan to be run up the stairs while I handle my business. Looks like John Tick is working again.
Answer.
The Gnome King! The Gnome King!
Using the advanced interrogation technique of lightly grasping and shaking one of the suspect's shoulder rainbows.
Behave yourself now.
I will behave! I'll behave! Behave!
The NFL's handling of player disciplinary issues somehow makes its way into the script.
This Mombi is some housekeeper.
Letting your asshole chicken continue to belittle people she's never met when she has no idea how difficult it might be to keep up this house. This door closing creating a letter of the alphabet with no one ever explaining why. Waiting until you've been in the room of the living heads for 30 seconds, seen a woman completely remove her head, spotted a head from across the room that looked like that one nurse you hated, and watched a headless woman go retrieve it from its glass case before finally gasping.
Different from my other heads.
Taking your role as head nurse too literally.
I believe I'll lock you in the tower for a few years till your head is ready. And then I'll take it.
Villain not only exposits her plan, but also goes through the trouble of showing Dorothy the entirety of her head collection to establish the stakes, I'm guessing? All while she could have just snatched her up and won the game. The whole cat and mouse setup is part of the fun, sure, but why do movies feel the need to make the cat so dumb?
What are you doing, TikTok?
People will think I have a new statue.
After cute animal TikTok, statue TikTok is the next most bussin'. The way this chicken is being carried haphazardly and then thrown into this room will have me fruitlessly checking for the no animals were harmed disclaimer in this movie's credits. I've seen Dusty Furniture before, but holy sh**.
If only we could just fly away like you.
You're never gonna make it over the deadly desert with the flight capabilities of a chicken. And growing up on a farm, you should know that. Dorothy has been walking around this room, sentimentally staring at pictures for so long that it put me in a trance and I almost forgot to skip.
May I ask a favor of you, Dorothy? Would you please check my head for signs of spoiling?
Dorothy doesn't immediately scream and run the other way. Can she hear the non-threatening movie score so she knows this talking pumpkin is one of the good guys?
Where did she get all those different heads?
Did you see the headless dancing girls outside?
Mm-hmm.
That's where she got them.
You mean the 6 headless dancing girls? That's where she got the 30 extra heads she had in her room? Did they each have 5 heads?
She decided to test some powder of life she just bought from a magician.
Testing random powders bought from magicians.
Does Mombi have any more of it?
Also, seems that Mombi brought Jack to life for the sole purpose of gifting Dorothy with a bunch of useful exposition. Wait, why can TikTok move his arms and torso before Dorothy winds him up when earlier he just froze in place? If the action key only winds his legs, then why didn't he at least try that spinny lunch pail move that worked so well on the Wheelers earlier?
Did you understand all that, TikTok?
I understand it better than you do.
Toxic masculinity.
What's that?
The head of a gump.
This movie is like a box of chocolates. Halfway through finishing it, you realize it's making you tired and slightly queasy.
Bring that mantelpiece to the desk and anoint that one.
Confusing thing my college girlfriend said to me one night somehow makes it into the script. Why would you sleep without a head on? And more importantly, which part of the body was snoring earlier? Creating a secret life potion, but printing the directions on it like you're planning on selling it at the local Walgreens. Look, I get that the magic powder brought the fancy moose sofa to life and such, but did the magic also change the laws of flight physics? There's no way palm fronds are keeping that much weight in the air. Also, this hybrid animal furniture aircraft will gain enough gumption to pull up at the last second, because no tension would be gained by just being able to fly immediately. Also, choosing this convoluted plan over just leaving once you got out of the room you were locked in. Child riding on a magical flying device is silhouetted by the moon, plagiarism. I mean, cliche.
Why don't we just fly back to Kansas?
The movie treats this relevant question as if it were rhetorical. Chickens are not pillows.
Mr. Gump, can't you fly any faster?
Saying this in response to being pursued by the Wheelers instead of suggesting a flight path that doesn't follow roads or places accessed via wheel. The movie will now attempt to make us nervous about a rope untying, as if a few ropes could have actually held this flying living room set together in any meaningful way in the first place.
Where are we anyway?
You found your way to a beautifully painted mountain.
What is that noise going on up there?
Remember the spy rock from an hour ago? Yeah, they're apparently back now. Deal with it. Also, why do rock faces have to have human face parts? I'll give you the mouth, I guess, to make sound, and I suppose maybe the eyes see through some sort of sedimentary nervous system or something, but a nose? What the f*** do these peeping rocks need noses for?
Every head must have a body if it expects to get around.
Doesn't look like there's much of any place to get around to.
I'm glad we've paused to debate the virtues of having a body with a nihilistic moose head.
What about the chicken?
Yeah, what about the chicken? Seriously, when is the movie going to finally tell me why these rocks are all hot and bothered about poultry?
When we are here with our army to conquer you.
Kids. The Gnome King will now create a maniacal laugh-a-lanche for the sole purpose of swallowing Dorothy so he can narrate some exposition to her over psychedelic visuals, and is it too late to take all the drugs?
All the precious stones in the world are made here.
In front of this blue screen?
What's happened to the Scarecrow? Where is he?
Oh, I transformed him into an ornament.
Oh.
You and your friends can play a little game. And I bet that you get the Scarecrow back after all.
The Wizard of Saws. This game seems crafted to trick Dorothy and friends into getting turned into ornaments, but it is never really clear why this is even necessary or what limits there are to the Gnome King's powers that prevent him from stealing their life force without all this subterfuge.
Each of you has 3 chances to guess which one is the Scarecrow.
Why even give them 3 chances? They've never played this game before, and you're holding all the cards. Just lie and say that each of them only gets 1 turn. TikTok shows us the X indent on the bottom of his feet here, so how is he leaving footprints in the dust earlier with just a couple lines across? TikTok is an imposter, Dorothy, run!
Shall we have some refreshment? Limestone pie and hot melted silver.
They survived this refreshment, designing Jack's legs so every time I see them, I think he has a double compound fracture.
What I think is all that matters.
Admitting that you are all-powerful, your rules are arbitrary, and that you are incompetent and don't know how to properly rig a game.
You too, Belina.
Belina had a never-ending supply of clever quips before, but she's been uncharacteristically quiet the entire time they have been hanging out with the Gnome King. However, that shouldn't matter, considering how visible she has been through Jack's eye hole.
We're a long way from Kansas, Dorothy.
Thinking you could find a different way to say, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto, without me noticing you're stealing from yourself.
They made it possible for me to conquer the Emerald City.
Abusing the power of some fierce boots. These rocks must have trained for weeks to figure out how to cover up this hole so the audience's focal point was the last thing to disappear. Try not to take their hard work for granted.
If I guess incorrectly, you can watch and see what I am changed into. That may give you a clue.
What a good idea.
Yeah, it's a decent idea, but it depended on the Gnome King letting Dorothy come in to wind you up and letting her stay in to watch your final guess, which he did, because one of his defining characteristics to this point has been generosity.
Look.
Thinking that laying down is the lower form of kneeling. I've watched enough yoga. I've been to enough yoga classes to know that child's pose is the only option here.
Why didn't you just transform them all right away?
It's more fun this way.
It is not.
Oz!
Dorothy!
Few movie moments have freaked me out as much as this one. Can't describe exactly why, but I will be sleeping with the lights on and some anti-scarecrow weapons under my pillow as soon as I figure out what those might be.
Maybe people from Oz turn into green ornaments.
This will be correct only because we are currently experiencing a reality based entirely on the fever dream of a child.
You let her escape.
The Gnome King decides to get really angry instead of just being a dick and turning them all back into ornaments anyway.
Petrified polymorph.
That's structuralist.
You had her and you let her escape.
Said by the person who currently has her and is in the process of letting her escape. Oh man, they dragged poor Marcus Aurelius into this mess. Discount Ragnarok.
I'm tired of all of you.
But I'm still going to figure out how to monologue for a bit because I'm trying to do my best impression of a Bond villain who just never gets around to killing Bond, and I am nailing it so far. That's right, the mortal enemy of rocks, not paper, eggs. Just an astonishing job by the movie here in having a Deus Ex Machina that makes so much sense, you'll be thinking about it for years to come. The convenience that the Gnome King and 10-year-old Dorothy have the same size feet. Who stood up the 6th dancing girl, and when, and why, and who?
I must say, this life is stranger than my last one.
This is the only rational thing to be said in this entire movie. Wait, are the Wheelers just welcome to roam around and be part of the fun now too? They seem pretty psychotic and evil. I mean, I'm all for grace and forgiveness. Grace and forgiveness.
I wish I could be in both places at the same time.
Movie uses this wish to suggest that Dorothy and Ozma are really the same person. And I wish that someone in the room was at least a little curious about why that would be the outcome instead of Dorothy being horrifically torn in half. Thinking I'm willing to believe the creepy pumpkin girl from earlier is actually Princess Ozma and not just looking for her twin sister so she can get back to doing some blood elevatoring at the old Overlook.
When the Gnome King promised Mombi 30 beautiful heads if she kept Ozma a secret, she enchanted her into the mirror.
Thank you for explaining that in the last 5 minutes of the movie. I will definitely sleep better with that knowledge. Nope, still haunted by Scarecrow's face. Cutting in on Toto's reunion. He's the one who found her Uncle Henry, and it's going to take a lot to drag him away, it's true. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. Movie will never tell us why the head nurse was arrested. Was the other girl a ghost, and the nurse had murdered her? Did the other girl drown in the river, and she's going in for manslaughter? All we know is that the clinic burned down, and now she's in the hoosegow. Honestly, just send all that so I could use the word hoosegow. Success! I don't even care if this is the next spring or some shit. I am not buying that Uncle Henry's lazy ass finished this house so fast.
This challenge does seem really fun. If you want to get a fucking concussion...
Now this fella here has a face.
I'd like to take his face off.
Will it hurt?
I'll do my best.
These excess currents are our dreams and delusions.
You don't even exist to me!
You're listening to the audiobook You're F***ing Out, I'm F***ing In by Kenny Powers.
Look, Belina. It's a lunch pail tree.
What about second breakfast?
Come here, chicken! Nobody calls me chicken needles. Nobody! You'll be sorry for treating me like this! I'm a terrible person!
Resistance is futile.
What do you think?
I think you're very beautiful.
Interesting side note. As a head without a body, I envy the dead.
Powder of life?
It's called cocaine.
TikTok. Are you listening? I see dead people. Fly!
It's not an airplane, Colonel. It's a flying brick on approach, and you got to use your onboard computer.
Mr. Gump, can't you fly any faster?
I'm pretty tired. Think I'll go home now.
Fly, you've got to try!
This little maneuver is gonna cost us 51 years!
Not a speck of light is showing, so the danger must be growing. Are the fires of hell a-glowing?
No, no. Don't cry. They look like big, good, strong hands, don't they?